We hug. "Why didn't he listen?" she asks the air behind me. "Why didn't he listen?" The sentiment is bitter, but she whispers it like an endearment, trying to bond with me over how frustrating he was for her. She moves on to hug Audrey. "Hi, little honey," she says in a louder voice. "Your grandpa was a good man. Did you know that?" Audrey nods solemnly. We head into the kitchen, and I find that of my 6 siblings, only the 2 other out-of-towners are stopping in for dinner. 3 years older than me, my brother Tim is a portfolio manager in Boston. He's been divorced for a couple of years now, never had kids. Tall and athletic-looking, with a sharp crew cut, he has confessed to me that he has an uncontrollable thing for women who tend the cash registers of convenience stores and gas stations, at least one of whom broke up his marriage. He rises for a firm handshake that evolves into a back-patting hug. Emily is a high school social studies teacher in Phoenix, with large, strong hands and a black belt in Kobudo. Eyes downcast, she moves in for a quick, tight embrace. Her husband, Patrick, a clean-cut, blue-eyed lawyer who drafts legislation in Arizona's State House, and their kids, Gretchen and Otto, are also seated at the table. Patrick reaches for a handshake and gives me a tight-lipped nod. My mother has held off dinner as long as possible, but apparently everyone was just sitting down to eat when we arrived. The visitation starts at the funeral parlor in a little over an hour, and everyone still needs to get dressed. Looking pale, shoulders slumped, Mom leads us in the standard meal blessing, everyone aware that this is Dad's job. No longer observant, I mumble along with my hands together, barely vocalizing at all, but somehow unable to avoid participation. People start serving themselves in silence, which only brings back more strongly memories of childhood meals with all 9 of us passing dishes and slurping and wiping our mouths on our sleeves and yammering and laughing. Bart, George, and Luke, my 3 oldest brothers, might trade baseball cards, knuckle each other in the ribs, or spoon half-chewed food from their own mouths onto each other's plates. Tim would show me below table a grasshopper he'd trapped in a perforated sandwich baggie, and I'd respond with something I'd found in the ditch, maybe a rusty bolt or a small colored stone that held no interest for him. Our sisters, Mary Ellen and Emily, had their own conversations at the other end of the table, about which I can't remember a thing. Though Dad was usually silent, stirring leftovers on his plate in appalling combinations, when he was in a good mood, he'd retell jokes he heard at work and begin laughing himself during the punchlines. I can't remember the last time the whole family sat at this table together for supper, an arrangement gradually eroded by my brothers and sisters missing meals for practices, games, and jobs, and then moving out. It now strikes me as a moment that's lost to history. Finally, Mom says, "Thank you for coming, everyone." "Sure, Ma," Emily says. I cut Audrey a small square of lasagna, praying she doesn't complain out loud. "I warned him about the donuts," Mom says, as if someone has asked. "I said, 'You're eating the stress.'" Lasagna is not one of your leaner foods, even though my mother has always made it with cottage cheese instead of ricotta. I decide against an ironic joke. "You tried to tell him," I say. "I just wanted him to relax," she says miserably. Dad had been scheduled on Thursday for what they called cryosurgery. Basically, they were going to try to kill the cancer cells in his prostate by freezing them, and he was having trouble sleeping. When I talked to him on the phone about the procedure just a week ago, he said, "It's nothing." Then he added, "This is what I get for living so long." In recent years, these 2 statements, along with, "What can you do?" were my father's triumvirate of go-to expressions. "You did your best, Ma," Emily says. "Thank God he had his faith back."